All right, I got my tea, I got my questions. Let's do a Q&A. Okay, so I've never done a Q&A before. I'm pretty stoked about it. If you've never been to my channel before, hi, I'm Stephanie. Welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. If you are returning, hey, I'm so glad that you're here again. So yeah, I am doing a Q&A for the first time because, well, I've seen some other sewers do it lately and I thought that might be kind of fun because I make videos and I just assume that I know what you want to know. Well, no, that's not true. Sometimes I do make videos to answer questions that people have asked me, but most of the time it's kind of like, this is what I'm working on and hopefully you find it interesting. So this was my opportunity to find out what you actually wanted to know. And as I was thinking to myself, hey, I should do one of these videos soon and just try it out, I hit 2,000 subscribers, which, I mean, in YouTube land, maybe a lot of people would not be impressed by that, but I am, because my goal this year was to hit 1,000. And I'm at 2, so thank you. Thank you so much. We're gonna do a giveaway to celebrate, but we'll get to that at the end. First, I'm gonna answer my questions. Question number 1. Is there anything that you want to try to sew but find intimidating? Also, what is your favorite item that you have made? Okay, that's a two-parter. First part, is there anything that I want to sew but I find it intimidating? Here's the thing with me and projects in general. This is sewing, this is my bathroom needs to be tiled. Okay, I'll give it a go. Like, whatever. I have far more guts than brains. So I tend to just jump in thinking that I can just figure out anything. And I don't get intimidated or freaked out at all until like the middle of the project. And it's like when, you know, the room is demolished or the fabric is cut or whatever, or I've gone and spent money on yarn. Then I start going, oh, what if this doesn't work? This might not work. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, what am I doing? Oh no, this is gonna be terrible. And then I gotta kind of like rein it in. And so yeah, there's nothing that I wouldn't try because I'm intimidated. But there's plenty of stuff I get locked into and then I like have a meltdown in the middle of it. If I'm being totally honest. Also, what is your favorite item that you have made? That is tricky. I mean, I shared my wedding dress with you guys and that was a pretty big deal, but I mean, I kind of remade that. I didn't make it from scratch, but I think that would have to be my favorite. I used to make a lot of corsets for performing and stuff like that, and I love corset making because I love the structure of it. I grew up with a woodworking shop in my backyard, and so it doesn't matter what I make, whether I'm sewing or knitting or anything, my brain goes to carpentry, and if I can understand the structure of something, then I can figure out how to put it together. And so I think I like corsetry because it has that structure that you're building something. I should really share corsetry. Okay, I know last time I did like a talking head video and like checking in with everybody and I mentioned corsetry. This was a long time ago and people were like, can you please show us how to make corsets? Okay, I will put that in the new year. I'm gonna put that on the list. We will make a corset because even if you think, oh, I would never wear a corset, maybe you won't, but I think where people don't realize corsets get worn a lot is in strapless dresses. And we've all been to that wedding, right? Where the bride is in a strapless dress and she's doing this all night. The ones that don't have to do that have a corset underneath, generally speaking. Anyway, that's the whole thing. We can get into that. If you want to see something about corsetry, let me know below. Next question. Did you get your handy tips from others or did you make up your own? Ooh. Absolutely. I definitely got tips and tricks from my mom, from my Aunt Patty. My Aunt Patty was one of the people who really started me off on my sewing journey, mostly because she let me use her machine. I watch sewing YouTubers too. I look at sewing blogs. I'm in the sewing world, so I pick up tips from everywhere. This is not just like I'm born with this knowledge by any means. Okay, next question. Louise says, You have some pretty advanced sewing techniques. My question is, did you take any sewing courses or did you learn from books? And if from books, which books are your favorite? Whew, okay. Sewing courses, I mean, in the junior high school that I went to in grade 8, there were certain options that you had to take, like you had to sort of sample everything. And then the next year you got to like pick options. And so one of the things that you had to do was you had to do sewing as part of your home ec credit. I had sewn a little bit up until that point, but not anything like substantial. And it just so happened like the sewing unit we were supposed to do was all sewing by hand. We were all supposed to make stuffed animals. But when I picked from the catalog what I was going to make, I picked a pattern for slippers, which I found out later that because I was sewing clothes, my teacher was like, oh, well, if you like, you're sewing clothes, so you're allowed to use the sewing machine, which made everybody else a little irritated with me, but hey, I didn't know. And like I was gonna not do that. So yeah, I did take sewing in high school. So yeah, most of it it was trial and error, and it was a lot of error. When I show you guys how to do something on this channel, a lot of those are hard-won lessons, I'll be honest. In terms of books, honestly, the most useful sewing books I've ever used are like the sewing manuals that come with sewing machines. So, you know, the first time I learned how to do a blind hem stitch, I didn't look up how do you blind hem pants. I looked in that book, how do I use a blind hem stitch? And so when I learn how to use like sort of the nuts and bolts of the equipment, then you can kind of figure out the rest of the stuff. I honestly feel like the manual that comes with your sewing machine is one of the most valuable sewing books that you could have, and they are so often overlooked. But because you're getting little like micro lessons rather than focusing on a macro project, you're able to better, I feel anyways, to take that information and then apply it to a whole bunch of stuff. So those are my favorites, honestly. Okay, next question. You are so good at teaching. I can tell it is your profession. How on earth do you find time to sew when you are working and raising a young family? I couldn't sew regularly until my children were older, and even then it is in small blocks of sewing each week. Okay, I guess I kind of am a teacher. I direct a forum theater program for youth in junior high schools, and so sometimes our program is in the school and sometimes it's in the community. This year it's online because that's how you COVID-proof your program. So that is my teaching, but I'm not like a school teacher. How on earth do you find time to sew when you're working and raising a young family? Listen, I have a lot of support, first off. Let me say that. My mom lives with us, so every morning we go for a walk, then she takes the kids and gives them breakfast while I go for a bigger walk and come home and do yoga. So right off the bat, I'm able to start my day like with some time for me. And my husband's here, and even like pre-COVID, my sister-in-law and I actually had this arrangement where we both work part-time. So we arranged our schedules so that they were opposite each other. And so that way we were both able to stay home with our kids while, you know, one of us babysat for the other while the other was at work. But also if I really needed to get something done, I knew that I could always count on her to come and help out with my kids, and vice versa, of course. But yeah, so right off the bat, I have a ton of support. But even with that, if you think I'm getting it all done, if you think that the house outside of this shot is not a disaster, no, it is, okay? Especially since we are isolating as a family. My husband has some health problems, and so he's super high risk, and so we all have to isolate. And with everybody being home right now, I don't have that time when the kids are at school to like, and my husband's at work to get the house tidied up or anything like that. Like that can't happen right now. It's tripping over people nonstop. And so, you know, like today to get this filmed, as soon as supper was over, my husband went to go with the kids to pick up the grocery order, and then they're going to drive around and look at Christmas lights until I'm done filming. And meanwhile, the supper dishes are still sitting there. Like, I don't get it all done. I really don't. But here's the thing, and some of you might know this story if you've been with me for a while. The reason I started this channel because I was doing a sewing challenge because I wanted to spend some more time caring for myself. And then I did the channel to like document the challenge. But the big reason, the big reason why I started the sewing challenge that I had set for myself last year and that I started my channel was because I knew that things were about to get really heavy for my family. And if I didn't fill my own bucket, that I was not going to be able to keep up. And it's too easy for me to put the kids and the husband and my mother-in-law who needs care and, anybody else in the family. It's so easy when you're the one at home more often than anybody else in your household, when you're the magic maker for birthdays and holidays and stuff like that. It's just too easy to put everybody else ahead of yourself. And so what was happening for our family was my husband was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure. And then he was awaiting a transplant. Thank goodness we have found a donor. He was supposed to have his transplant last February. But the summer previous, he had had a whole bunch of instances where his lung had collapsed. And then they did surgery and they took out a third of one of his lungs. And right before he was supposed to have his transplant, the pathology from the chunk of lung that they took out came back. And they were like, no, we gotta postpone surgery because we have to investigate a whole bunch of other things. And so around the time that I was starting my channel, we were also working on getting my mother-in-law into care because she needs extra care. And so I just knew that, yeah, things were going to be heavy. There was going to be a lot of stress, and there was going to be a lot of people needing to lean on mom, and that's okay. But I can't be there for everybody if I'm not there for myself, and I can't be filling everybody else's bucket if I don't refill mine. And I knew that it was going to be my responsibility to refill my bucket because my husband's sick and he's tired, and he's still there for me, obviously, and he's still there for the kids. But there's going to be a point where he's recovering from surgery where he's recovering from surgery, So my big push was me thinking of a way that I would be more likely to make myself a priority in some way and stick to it. And I knew if I had an upload schedule and I maybe had, at the time I thought just some family and friends would be watching and they might be like, hey Steph, why haven't you uploaded a video in a while if I stopped? And so I thought I would have that accountability. So, I mean, it's really checks and balances. I don't get it all done, but I keep my sanity. Yeah, my house is a mess some of the time. My husband and I retiled our fireplace today. The living room looks like a construction zone. And it'll probably stay that way until tomorrow. It's just how it is. I refuse to put so much pressure on myself that I crumble because there are bigger things happening right now. Whew, that was a long ass answer to that question. I just don't want to ever put out the vibe that I'm the mom who gets it all done. I'm not. I'm just not. Ooh, okay. Also, if you can go through different pattern alterations that you do, I've done a full bust adjustment, but then use the adjusted triangle space to turn it into a dart. But I've seen a video on making a dart that seems much more complex than mine. Okay. Whew, okay, so darts. This is probably a hint to me that I need to do a video on this, but just for now, until I can get to that, just to get you through, Rochelle, if you're needing to sew a dart. A couple of quick tips for darts is when you are sewing a dart, hopefully you are sewing from the wide end to the narrow end. And when you get to the tippy end of your dart, stop with the pedal. Take your foot off the pedal and do those last few stitches by hand cranking so you have the utmost control. And you want your last stitch to just hit a thread or two of your fabric. you want to go down to that small. And then when you remove your fabric from your machine, leave yourself a nice long tail at that point so that you can just physically actually tie a knot in your threads. That's how you tie off a dart. That's how I tie off a dart anyways. If you start going like do the back and forth lock stitch or something like that, it's too easy to add extra bulk there. So if you can get that dart down to that just very, very fine ending, at that point, it's really about pressing and making sure that you press that dart out really well. So hopefully that's helpful. If it's not, let me know below and I will try and explain better. But yeah, I feel like that's a question I'm gonna have to make a video on. So I will write it down, Rochelle. That will be coming at you. Probably not until the new year because this coat is my life right now. As for the full bust adjustment part, it really depends on the kind of garment you're sewing. Like if you're sewing stretch, you can do a full bust adjustment without having a dart because you can kind of absorb that extra fabric into your seam. Sounds like here that the garment didn't have a dart before you did the FBA. So yeah, maybe I just need to do more talking about full bust adjustments, I think. So I'll do that. Okay, and my last question, somebody asked me where I got my Dressmakers dummy, Gertrude, back here. Let me get Gertie. Okay, I'm just gonna hold her rather than mess with her. She doesn't like being messed with. So she is an antique. There is a spot where there was a sticker on her at some point. And so I think that's actually like the original color of her fabric is more gray than brown. But my husband found her at a estate sale, I believe. And I think she was 20 bucks, I think. So this was a gift from my husband because he knew that I would love her, and she's just basically decor. But I love her so much. So yeah, everybody, if you have not met Gertie, this is Gertrude. Okay, so that is all the questions that I have. Thank you so much for everybody who took the time to type out a question to me. I really appreciate it. And now we should probably talk about that giveaway. I need to say first, thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel, to everybody who has taken some time out and watched one of my videos, if you've hit the like button, if you have left a comment. It takes time and effort to write those comments, and I know, you send out a comment and maybe you never know if it's even gonna get read or anything. And I do my very best to respond to every comment. My channel is still the size that is a very doable thing for me. So I do try to be as fast as I can with getting back to you guys with questions and comments and stuff like that. So I just want you to know that I so appreciate that we're here to be able to do this thing together, because there's no point in me sitting in my studio talking to a camera if you're not there. So thank you. Now I did think about doing something a little different for this giveaway than I did last time, but the thing is that it's super close to Christmas. Shipping in COVID times is not super reliable. And so I'm going to stick with the same format that I did last time, which is I'm offering 2 digital patterns of your choice. I'm going to link the fold line down below. I'm linking the fold line because I know them to have, like, as far as I know, the best selection of digital download patterns. So I want to be clear, this is for digital download patterns, okay? Because I want you to have the pattern right away, and then we don't have to mess with shipping and all that kind of stuff. If you want to support a designer like directly, I'm down with that. I'll order the pattern from wherever and have it sent to your inbox. Doesn't matter to me where it comes from. I just want you to have a pattern that you love and that you're gonna sew, and that you're gonna tag me on Instagram so I can see what you made. Please, please, please. Actually, that's just a little while ago. One of the people who won the last giveaway tagged me because she made the raincoat that she wanted to sew, and that I got her the pattern for it, which was it was so cool. It was so cool to see it. So I really hope that you will let me see the project, whoever wins. And so what you have to do to win is, I'm not going to tell you to go here, there, and everywhere and follow me in all the places. I'm barely on all of the places, honestly. I would like you to be subscribed to my channel though. I have noticed, and I mentioned this in my last video, that most of the people watching my channel are not subscribed. Don't know what you're waiting for, but hit that button. And the next thing that you need to do is you need to comment below something that you struggle to sew, or something that you find intimidating to sew, or something that you tried to sew and it just like went horribly wrong. Because this is where I get my video ideas, so I can make sure that I am providing you all with content that you want to see. And honestly, I know that I haven't even gotten through the whole list that I got last time I did a giveaway, but it just was the perfect time to do a giveaway, you know? So they will get added to the list, and I'm working my way through it. All right, so subscribe, comment below what you need to learn about sewing, what I can help you with, and then your name will be entered in a random draw, and we'll see who wins. We'll see what they make, and I'm excited for it. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the questions for today, and just, yeah, thank you. Have a great one.